let's just get this out of the way. If you're listening to this in December and feeling like, wow, this is not how I thought this year was going to go, welcome. You're in the right place. Because this episode is not about pretending the year was amazing. It's not about toxic gratitude. And it's definitely not about rewriting history so it looks good on Instagram. This is a soft wrap-up with a little sass for the girls who showed up, learned some things, got tired, regrouped, and kept it moving anyway. And honestly, that still counts. Let's start here, because we're not about to beat ourselves up right out of the gate. Some things worked this year, even if they were quiet, even if they weren't flashy, even if nobody reposted them. For me, one of the biggest wins was consistency without chaos. I didn't do everything. I didn't say yes to everything, but I showed up imperfectly, repeatedly, and with intention. And listen, grown woman consistency looks different. It's not hustle till midnight. It's I showed up and I still had energy to live my life. That's growth. Another thing that worked, I started paying attention to what drains me and not romanticizing it. Because just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. And that realization alone saved me time, energy, and a whole lot of resentment. So if nothing else worked this year, did you learn yourself better? Because that's not small. That's foundational. Now, let's talk about the things that did not do what they were supposed to do. The goals that stalled, the plans that looked cute in January, but questionable by June. The energy you thought you had until life said, girl, be serious. Some things didn't move because the timing wasn't right. Some didn't move because you changed. And some didn't move because you were tired. And that is not a character flaw. So let me say this clearly. Outgrowing a goal does not mean you failed. Sometimes the lesson was the goal. And honestly, I'd rather pause than push something that no longer fits just so I can say I did it. That's not discipline. That's self-abandonment. And we don't do that anymore. This year taught me some things I'm not unlearning. Number one, rest is not a reward. It's a requirement. If your whole life only works when you're exhausted, something is off. Number two, consistency beats intensity every single time. I don't need big bursts of motivation. I need systems that work on my worst days. And number three, and this one might ruffle some feathers, everyone does not deserve access to you. Not your time, not your energy, not your emotional labor. If someone consistently complicates your peace, that's your answer. And I'm calling that and taking that clarity forward unapologetically. Now, before we run into the new year with vision boards and ambition, some things need to stay right here. I'm leaving unrealistic timelines, overcommitting to prove I'm capable, explaining myself to people who have already decided not to understand, and the idea that softness means I'm not serious. If you're listening, I want you to think of one thing you're leaving behind this year. Not 10, not a whole personality overhaul, just one thing you're done carrying. because lighter feels better. If this year felt uneven, you're not behind. If you had to pivot, you're not failing. If all you did was survive, learn, and adjust, you still made progress. Next year doesn't need force. It needs intention, honesty, and a little more grace. So here's your reminder as we wrap this up. You don't need a perfect year to build a good life. And that's the energy we're carrying forward. Thank you for spending a little time with me this week. If this episode resonated, share it with someone who needs permission to stop being so hard on themselves. And as always, stay classy, stay sassy, and I'll talk to you next time.